Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in this video we will discuss about the overview of some of the database concepts that we encountered in SQL Server. And before I continue with this video, I would like you to share this video with your friends, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and please also hit the bell icon to get any future updates regarding any future videos that I will post. So now let's continue with the video. So this is an overview to the database concept. So let's go through some of the terminology used in databases. So first term is database, which is a collection of a database can be a collection of tables that store specific set of structured data. By structured data we mean the data that is stored in terms of rows and columns. So a table stores the actual data in rows and columns format, and a database is a collection of tables. It can hold other things as well, such as views and various other database objects as well, including stored procedures and functions, etc. But for now let's say it's a collection of tables. So let me show you one example for this. So if you go to SQL Server Management Studio, so I'm waiting for it to open. So SQL Server Management Studio is about to open. It was opening in the background, so it will open up in a while. So guys, our SQL Server Management Studio is ready, and I'm connecting to this server, which is the name of this machine, and we are connecting to the default instance using my login ID. So I'm clicking on connect. This will connect me to the SQL Server instance, which is the default instance that I am running. Waiting for it to load the items on the left hand side in Object Explorer. So it has opened a query window for me as well, which I will close. So let's close it. And on the left hand side you will see there is a section for databases. So right now I can see we have a user database named Northwind inside it. So this is the section for databases, and this is a database. And the database can store various tables. If you expand the database section, I've expanded the Northwind database. Underneath that I can see tables section. I can expand that to see what all table it has. So right now it's expanding the table section, so I can see it has around like 10 to 11 tables. So let's go back to the notes. So the second term is tables, so which we already discussed. It's a collection of rows and columns. Basically you can say it's a collection of rows, which are also known as records and tuples. So each row contains a record, which is also known as a tuple, and it also has columns, which are the attributes for that particular row. The column defines the attribute for a particular row record, and each column stores specified type of information like numbers, dates and characters or text, etc. And let's talk about instances. So on a single computer we can have multiple instances or multiple versions of SQL Server running at the same time. On our system, if we go to services.msc, let's go there. So waiting for it to open. So and the services console is open, and if I go to Microsoft or maybe SQL Server, starting with this, I can see that we are running the default instance of SQL Server, and which is known as MS SQL Server, which is the default instance. Apart from that, this machine also has SQL Express, which is a free version of SQL Server, a lightweight version. And basically let's the SQL Express version is not enabled on this machine, So in total we are running only a single instance of SQL Server, which is default instance on this machine. So let's we have seen an instance. So a computer can have one or more instances of SQL Server installed. On this machine only we have one instance installed, which is the default instance, and the way to determine its default instances, within brackets you can see MS SQL Server. By this you will come to know that this is the default instance. Otherwise an instance name will be given in the service, whatever instance we will name during the installation of SQL Server, and then the name will come here. And we are done with the instances. And each of the SQL Server instance can contain one or more databases. And let's talk about schemas. In our other video we had also talked about schemas. So basically these are object ownership groups within database. So if we go back to SQL Server and if we expand in this table section, we can see that we have around 11 to 12 tables which are under the DBO schema over here, right? We can also create our this is the default schema. The DBO schema is the default schema, and in addition to that we can create our own schema as well using the create schema statement, and we will cover that in some of our other videos. And now let's go back to the notes. And basically schemas are created to define the ownership groups within the database, and we can have database objects like table, views, stored procedure created within one particular schema. There are some special objects in the database like certificates and the asymmetric keys that are in the database, but they are not come under any of the schemas. I mean, they are not within any schemas. We'll talk in detail in some of our other videos. And now let's talk about files. So the SQL databases are stored in files. So let me show you. And file can be grouped into file groups. So let me show you the concept of file. So if we go back to SQL Server and if we right click on the Northwind database and go to properties, I'm waiting for properties window to get open. So yeah, property windows is opened, and there's a file section on the left hand side. If you click on that, you can see the files for the Northwind database. So one is the data file, another one is the log file, and this is the storage location for these files, and these are the file names. The data file has the MDF extension and the log data file has LDF extension. We will discuss much more in detail about files in our other videos. For now, let's go back. So we have seen files are defined for the Northwind database, and the name of the files were northwind.mdf and northwind.ldf, and we can also go to this location to check the file. So let's open up this location quickly. We can see various data files and the log data files. For Northwind we have these two files, and we do have other system defined databases within our SQL Server. So for example, master is one of the databases which is a system defined database. So we have a master data file and log data file for master named master.mdf and masslog.ldf. For now, let's close this window and go back to the notes. So we have seen how files are defined within the SQL Server for database, and how we can locate them within the individual directory. So let's go back to notes, and now let's come to the keyword login. So when people gain access to the instance of SQL Server, they are identified as login. So if I go back to SQL Server, let me disconnect from the server. So here I'm logging into SQL Server with the login. This is my login. Vineet PC is my PC name, and Vineet is my login name, and we are using Windows authentication. We are trying to gain access to this instance of SQL Server, which is the default instance installed on this machine. And let's click on connect. So this is known as login, where we connected to this server, And if we expand the security section, we can see a login section over there. So our login should be defined there. So if we see here, our login is our login is defined here. So this is my login. So whenever your user connects to an instance of a database, it requires a login. This is known as login. Now what is a database user? So when people gain access to a database, they are identified as database users. So if we take a look at one of the databases, let's expand the database section. If I expand the Northwind section, there is a section for security and users. These are basically database users. So we have only one user defined for this particular database Northwind, which is the DBO. And this is the user which can access the database, and it has a DB owner permission. So DBO is the user which has the database owner permission on the Northwind database. Let's go back to the notes. One second. Okay. So now let's talk about the SQL Server Management Studio. So this is SQL Server Management Studio. We have shown you how you can open this tool. So let's close it and let me show you again. So right here in the search bar, you can type in SQL Server. It will show you the SQL Server Management Studio app in the list, and you can click on that to open it up. And you can also pin it to your taskbar like I have done so, and you can directly launch your SQL Server Management Studio from here as well. And basically it's a tool to work with the database. It's a GUI based tool where you can create databases or any other tables, etc. in a graphical mode. So here you can also write queries here in the queries window by clicking on the new query button. You can write in queries in T-SQL dialect, and you can run those queries to create a database. Otherwise you can also perform stuff manually, like you can manually create it as a database. For example, you can right click on the database section and click on new database. It will open up a GUI wizard where you can create databases. So let's go back to the notes. So we have discussed that it's a GUI tool. It provides a query editing tool which I've shown you, and you can write the queries using T-SQL syntax or dialect, and that can be used to interact with the databases as well. The T-SQL queries can be used to interact with the databases. So guys, we are done with this video, and I would once again request you to please like this video and also share this video with your friends. Please do subscribe to my channel and hit on the bell icon to get all my future updates. And I thank you for your time and your support, and you have a nice day ahead.